Welcome back to the Front Porch Truth. Roswell, 1947. Fact, fiction, and the story that won't die. All right, let's pull up a chair and crack a beer. Let's talk about Roswell. Because if you say UFO, this is a story that immediately comes up. 1947, New Mexico desert. A rancher finds strange debris. The military gets involved. And nearly 80 years later, we're still talking about it. So let's slow this down. What's documented? What's added later? And where's the gray still exists? First, what actually happened? July of 1947. A rancher named Mac Brazel discovered debris scattered across his property near Roswell, New Mexico. Foil-like material, wooden beams, rubber strips, tape with symbols. He reported it. The local Army airfield sent personnel to investigate. And here's the part that fuels everything. The Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release saying they had recovered a flying disc. That's not rumor, that's documented. But within 2 days, the statement was retracted. The debris was reclassified as a weather balloon. Case closed. Except it wasn't. For decades, the story mostly faded. Then, in the late 1970s, a former intelligence officer named Jesse Marcel began giving interviews. He claimed the debris was unlike anything he'd ever seen. He described thin metallic material that couldn't be burned, lightweight beams with strange symbols, metal that would bend and then return to shape. That memory metal detail became iconic, and it later appeared dramatically in the 1994 film Roswell, which is a good movie. I suggest watching it. In the movie, debris is brought into a house. The metal crumples, then straightens itself back out. It's a powerful visual. But here's the key question. Was that ever physically demonstrated with verified evidence? No. It's based on testimony decades after the event. That doesn't make it false. But testimony is not the same as preserved material evidence. Now, let's talk about the government explanation. In the 1990s, the U.S. Air Force released reports stating the debris was from Project Mogul. Project Mogul was a classified balloon program designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. High altitude balloons, radar reflectors, lightweight materials. The government argued that because Mogul was classified, the initial confusion and secrecy made sense. So, initial flying disc report, public relations mistake, retraction, clarification, strange materials, balloon components unfamiliar to civilians. That's the official explanation. But my question here is, How did you have someone that worked on a base that put up balloons every single day not recognize it when he went out in the field to see the debris? Now, see, here's where the tension lives. Why did the initial press release say flying disc at all? Possibly miscommunication, possibly inexperienced press officer, possibly something genuinely unidentified at first glance. We don't have definitive proof of which one, but we do know early Cold War secrecy was intense, and mistrust of government transparency didn't exactly start yesterday. That the historical context matters. Now, a little piece of my own thing. I have done some digging, and we know that the commander of the 509th Bomber Division in Roswell in 1947 was Colonel William H. Blanchard. And with the military at that time, no information was going off base unless it went through him or came from him. So the saucer story had to start with him. And I'm pretty sure a commander of a base, well, that's a whole other thing. Now separate fact from embellishment. Fact. Debris was recovered. Fact. A press release was used, or a press release used the term flying disc. Fact. It was released quickly. Not really, it was 2 days later. Fact. Project Mogul existed and used unusual balloon arrays. Fiction or unproven. Recovered alien bodies, alien autopsies, preserved extraterrestrial material. No verified alien bodies have ever been produced. No independently confirmed alien craft has ever been presented. The alien bodies narrative grew mostly in the 80s and 90s. It was not part of the original 1947 reporting. That's important. Now, let's compare the 1994 film to historical records. The movie dramatizes secretive military intimidation, memory, metal demonstrations, clear implication of extraterrestrial origin. Now we know that the military keeps secrets. So I want to leave that at that. But the memory metal and, you know, that that does seem a little science fiction-y. Historically, there is no verified footage of shape-shifting metal. Witness accounts evolved over decades. No preserved alien materials have ever been authenticated. The movie builds tension, history builds ambiguity, and ambiguity is less cinematic. So that keeps Roswell alive. Three things are what keep it alive: the initial flying disc headline, government secrecy culture of that era, human fascination with the possibility of we're not alone. That combination is powerful. Let's zoom out for a minute. If Roswell truly involved an alien craft, it would represent the biggest discovery in human history. And they actually brought this part up in the film. It would rewrite physics and biology, religion, philosophy. Everything changes. So the burden of proof should be extremely high. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And so far, we don't have that level of evidence publicly available. I will say, going back to uh, Sergeant Marcel, he was the one that had the stuff, and he's the one that told the stories in the 70s. He had basically 2 months left to live and wasn't going to get anything monetarily for doing this. He just wanted to get peace of mind and get to his side of the truth, or what he felt was the truth out. That this, for me, this is where I don't go black and white. The government has a documented history of secrecy. Take, for instance, stealth bomber. Originally, it was built and flown for the first time in 1977. The first actual flight of the finished product was in 81, and the public wasn't made aware of it until 1988. And that's just one thing. There's a plethora of others. Military projects have been hidden before. Technology sometimes appears publicly long after it was tested privately. So is skepticism of official explanation irrational? No. Is jumping to alien certainty justified? Also no. The honest position is somewhere in between. Roswell sits at an interesting intersection. It's not proven extraterrestrial, and it's not perfectly clean either. It's a story shaped by Cold War secrecy, media headlines, human imagination, and decades of retelling. And stories, especially one involving mystery, tend to grow. Here's the question I think matters most. If Roswell were just a balloon, why does it still grip us? Maybe it's just about debris, a 200 square yard debris field. That's either one big balloon and radar or something else. Maybe it's about trust. Maybe it's about whether institutions tell the full story. Maybe it's about whether we're alone. Those are the deeper questions. Then, was it a balloon? So, where do I land? I don't have evidence to say it was an alien craft. I don't have evidence the government protected classified programs. Correction, I do have evidence. I do know eyewitness testimony decades later becomes less reliable. And I know that mystery tends to fill gaps in with imagination. So Roswell remains what it had always been, a documented incident wrapped in secrecy, layered with storytelling, still unresolved in the public mind. And maybe that's why I won't die. So, in the next episode, we'll take another look at an interesting piece of intriguing fact or myth, because Roswell may be history, but things like UAPs and Bigfoot are still being reported today. So, as I always say, pull up a chair. We're just getting started.